You know, the number one mistake people make on social media is believing that high volume hashtags will bring high visibility. It kind of makes sense, right? You'd think so, but it's fundamentally wrong, and honestly, it's probably the source of a lot of your frustration. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? That's the real question we're going to unpack here. What if there was a system, a formula, that isn't about shouting into a crowd, but about whispering to exactly the right person, a way to just bypass all the noise and focus on surgical relevance instead of brute force? Today, we are diving deep into a formula that treats a hashtag for what it really is, a precise signal to an algorithm, making sure your views are earned through strategy, not just luck.
Okay, let's get right into this because this slide shows the great paradox of social media perfectly. The illusion on the left is that using a tag with millions of posts means millions of people will see your content. It's like wanting to go for a swim and choosing to jump into the middle of the ocean. But the truth, the hard reality over on the right, is that the ocean is actually where you are most likely to disappear without a trace. These giant tags don't just have high traffic, they have an impossible level of competition, refreshing every single second. This pretty much guarantees, you guessed it, zero visibility. The system we're exploring today is built to escape that trap completely. So here's our roadmap for how we're going to do that. We just touched on the visibility paradox. Next up, we'll look at the crisis of saturation to see why this all became necessary. Then we'll break down the engine itself, the 3-rule formula. After that, we'll get into the psychology of precision to understand why this works so well on both algorithms and actual people. Then we'll get practical with the bucket strategy playbook. And we'll wrap it all up with the core idea that ties it all together, the whisper, not the shout.
So let's rewind for a second. How did we even get here? I mean, why did the old strategy of just piling on popular tags completely stop working? Well, it wasn't a slow change. It was a massive, fundamental shift in the whole social media landscape. The problem really is twofold. First, as you can see here, platform saturation. There's just too much content, way too much being created every single second for any simple algorithm to keep up with. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. And second, because of that saturation, the platforms had to evolve. They had to get smarter. They moved away from those simple, chronological, here's what's new feeds to these incredibly sophisticated, topic-based feeds. See, their main job isn't to show you what your friends just posted anymore. It's to show you what's most relevant to your specific interest, all to keep you scrolling. This whole crisis demanded a new way of thinking. It demanded segmentation. And what's really cool about this process is that it kind of demystifies the algorithm. It's not some unknowable black box. It's basically a sorting machine. Look at that first point. It uses signals like your hashtags to drop your content into different topic buckets. Then it starts testing that content's relevance inside tiny specific niches. It actively rewards the content that is the most specific, and over time, it promotes accounts that clearly show they're an authority in one particular niche. So trying to rank for a generic tag like hashtag marketing is like telling that sorting machine you're an expert on, well, everything. It just doesn't work. The algorithm needs you to be an expert on something, like 1980s baseball card collecting for rookie investors. That level of specificity is the key. Which brings us directly to the solution. If the problem is saturation and the algorithm's job is to reward specificity, then we need an engine designed to do exactly that. So it's time to pop the hood on the 3-rule formula. This is the engine of what we call competitive segmentation. The core of it all is a simple but really powerful 3-part system. It's a sequence of rules designed not just to get you seen, but to strategically choose who you are seen by. That is competitive segmentation. It's all about finding the arena where you're basically guaranteed to win. The formula starts with the relevance rule, then the size rule, and finally the testing rule. Each one builds on the last, creating a complete framework for signaling your unique value to the algorithm. Now, here's the absolute bottom line. Rule number 1, the relevance rule is the non-negotiable foundation of this entire system. Your hashtags have to describe your content's niche with surgical precision. I'm talking not just fitness, but postpartum Pilates for beginners. Not just cooking, but vegan meal prep for athletes. As it says right there, this is your highest priority. Why? Because this one single act is the most powerful signal you can possibly send. If you get this rule wrong, honestly, nothing else we talk about today is going to matter. But being relevant alone isn't quite enough. We also have to strategically manage the competition, and that brings us to the size rule. Being hyperspecific is great, but if a million other creators are using that same hyperspecific tag, you're right back where you started. So this rule forces you to create a mandatory mix of tags that cleverly navigates the competition by balancing 3 different goals: broad, long-term reach, the potential to actually rank in a competitive space, and getting those super important immediate views. And this is where the magic really happens. This tactic inside the size rule is called the bucket strategy. You intentionally structure your relevant hashtags into 3 buckets. A couple of large tags for that long-term reach, think of these as lottery tickets. Then, a set of medium-sized tags, where you have a realistic shot at ranking over time as you build authority. And most importantly, a group of small, hyper-niche tags. This is where you get those immediate views. This is the space you can dominate and rank in today, because you're competing against a much smaller, much more focused pool of content. You win here first. And finally, we have the testing rule. Look, the social media world is not static. It's always changing. Algorithms are constantly being updated. This rule acknowledges that reality. It mandates that you continuously A/B test your hashtag mixes. You have to stay agile, watch what's performing, and adapt to what the algorithm is favoring in your niche right now. This is not a set it and forget it system. It's an ongoing process of refinement. So we know what the formula is and how it works on a technical level, but to really master it, we need to understand why it works so incredibly well. And this isn't just about gaming a robot. It's about tapping into some really fundamental principles of human psychology. The main psychological trigger at play here is something called the relevance heuristic. It's a mental shortcut we all use all the time just to make sense of a noisy world. Imagine walking into a giant bookstore with hundreds of thousands of books. It's completely overwhelming. Now imagine walking into a tiny shop that only sells vintage science fiction novels from the 1950s. If that happens to be your thing, you instantly feel like you're in the right place. That's the relevance heuristic. When a user sees a hyper-specific hashtag that matches their interest, their brain just instantly assumes that content is valuable and made for them, which dramatically speeds up their decision to stop scrolling and engage. And this heuristic works because it directly tackles the problem of cognitive load. Think of cognitive load as your brain's processing power, like RAM on a computer. Generic hashtags create a huge cognitive load. They force the user to do all the mental work of filtering through thousands of irrelevant posts just to find the one thing they might want. But hyperspecific tags do the exact opposite. They minimize that load. They do the filtering for the user, making your content feel like a welcome relief. It's just effortless and easy to engage with. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. Look at that giant bar on the left for a generic hashtag like hashtag marketing. The user's filtering effort is through the roof. They have to sift through spam, job postings, all sorts of stuff. Now, look at the tiny little bar on the right for a niche hashtag like hashtag B2B SaaS content. The filtering effort is almost zero. The user knows exactly what they're getting, you've done the heavy lifting for them, and that makes engaging with your post the path of least resistance. Okay, we've covered the theory and the psychology. Now let's get down to business and translate all of this into a practical, actionable playbook. This is the framework you can use starting today to actually master this whole system. It boils down to 3 clear actions. First, you have to anchor in the niche. This is your foundation. Second, you consistently implement the bucket strategy we just talked about. This is your main competitive move. And third, you create tag sets for consistency. This is how you make the system efficient and sustainable for the long haul. Let's start with anchoring in the niche. Now, this step takes some real discipline. You absolutely must prioritize relevance over volume every single time. That means if a hashtag isn't hyper-specific to your exact message, you just get rid of it. Doesn't matter if it has millions of posts. Remember, your main goal here isn't to get random eyeballs, it's to send a crystal clear signal of topic authority to the algorithm. Next, you implement the bucket strategy. And here's the key. You are actively controlling the competitive environment by design. You're not just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks. For every single post, you create that mandatory mix of large, medium, and small tags. Your immediate goal, your entire focus, should be on ranking in that less competitive, small bucket. That's how you get the initial traction and engagement that tells the algorithm your content is valuable, which then helps you start ranking in the bigger buckets over time. And the final step is to systematize this whole process by creating tag sets. Build yourself 5 to 10 pre-approved sets of these bucketed hashtags and group them by your main content categories or pillars.
This does two really critical things for you. First, it guarantees you're being consistent with your signals to the algorithm, which is how you build authority and trust with the platform. And second, it just makes your day-to-day workflow so much more efficient. This is how you maximize your organic reach in the long run.
So let's bring all these pieces together now. When you zoom out from all the rules and the tactics and the playbooks, you land on the core philosophical insight of the entire hashtag formula.
It's this simple but really profound equation. Precision is greater than power. Guaranteed views are not earned through brute force, by shouting into the void with the most popular tags. They're earned through the cold, hard logic of algorithmic segmentation, through the surgical precision that whispers your message directly into the ear of exactly the right person at exactly the right time.
And that leaves us with this final thought to consider. The best marketing isn't about pushing people through a funnel. It's about pulling them toward value. This formula works because it whispers your message directly to the right niche, making them feel like your content was created just for them. And with this system, it is.